Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to some VESL esports action. I'm Fundy, joined by Jobin once again. We're here in the Wake division. I've been flying around divisions here as a caster. I've been seeing just about all of these teams and all of these divisions, but here on Friday, we are here for Rocket League. I think we've really just got the one match kind of lined up for you guys tonight. Why don't you take us away with some info on that, Jobin?
Yeah, going to be one best of three. It's going to be Wake Leadership Academy taking on at Leesville Road. And this is going to be the last week for all the conferences. You mentioned it. You've been jumping around divisions. All the games are coming to a close as far as regular season at the end of this week. Then we're going to be full swing into the playoffs next week. The brackets, I think, are starting to get formulated across each one of the games. So that information will come out as time goes along here the next couple of days. But as you said, onto the pitch for Rocket League Fridays. And going into the last week of the season, I'm sure every one of these teams being such a short season, you can't really afford to take more than one or two losses probably. You're fighting for playoff spot, you're fighting for a top seed, and I'm sure these two teams are going to bring it.
Yeah, as always, trying to take that win, but in this last week of our regular season, that win is definitely that much more valuable to some of these teams. And yeah, we've seen, for example, the Valorant brackets have now been generated for playoffs, etc. And after tonight, Rocket League Smash will follow up, of course, as well. We had the last week of Smash regular season yesterday there. But moving into playoffs, for some of our other games, it does change up the format a little bit. Here in Rocket League next week, we're still just looking at best of fives, and I believe the finals are best of five as well. So same format going through, same format these teams are used to. And yeah, this is the last week of regular season. It's the last week to really make your mark, pad those stats a little bit, maybe even try to find a bye or something in playoffs if you can.
Yeah, any advantage you can find, you will take in such a short season. But that being said, I think we are ready to get onto the pitch with Wake Leadership Academy taking on Leesville Road. Best of five last week of the regular season. Can they bring that momentum going into the playoffs? And we are about to see possibly a false start there. Got to make sure the game is all loaded up and everything. Always exciting. Rocket League gets us with false starts every now and again. So, you know, something that happens.
Yeah, and truthfully, as a broadcaster, can't complain too much because Rocket League is usually very, very kind to us in terms of technical issues. But getting into this, look at that. Wake Leadership Academy, 5 seconds into this, it's Fatu who's able to find that first goal. Pretty well a solo play there as well.
Nice little control there. We see that some of the collegiate players got some of the mechs like that. But honestly, though, this is Rocket League. I feel like the high schoolers have an edge up on some of the older players. I think even the RLCS quals have been happening. I've been seeing a bunch of jokes on Twitter about these kids are about to go flex on recess, that they just knocked out Luminosity and a bunch of stuff like that. So the Rocket League scene is definitely the one that is tailoring toward the younger age. And with the amount of mechanics and time you need to put into this game to grind, it is understandable.
Yeah, and it's one of the only games too, so accessible after going free to play a few years ago as well, but also one of the only games where you see 16-year-olds in the pro scene, right? Flapjack too, bringing that second goal over to Wake Leadership. And man, this is looking eerily similar to some of our previous weeks where sometimes a team just comes into one of these matchups and dominates from start to finish. Not saying that's exactly what we're seeing right now, but 30 seconds in, a 2-0 lead. Leesville really needs to look at their defense, maybe rethink a few things, because you can't let a lead like this keep growing this early on.
Yeah, we are going to see, like you said, we see a lot of games that start to snowball. They start to get out of control very, very quickly. So we're going to see what Leesville Road is made of these next couple minutes. Are they able to stabilize the game a little bit, try to get back into it in some form or fashion? But right now, the pressure for Wake still looking to be pretty good, keeping it on the orange side just for the moment. But it is going to be Fatu patiently playing that one easy takeaway from Yalom there, sending that one up the right side wall. Flapjack looking to see if he can go make a play.
Bounced off the wall, but it's Wake Leadership to actually cut out that situation. The 50 goes the way of Slimy Squid. Defender, just absolutely the worst angle you can end up with on that one. It's actually just, kind of bounces in between those players. A pinch towards the net. And Slimy Squid, I mean, you got to be happy about that one.
Listen, it's better to be lucky than good in Rocket League. They scored a couple of goals that showed off some mechanics, right? Now you just got to get a little bit of help, get that nice angle. That was a great opportunity for Leesville. That got turned away at the doorstep by Wake. Now Fatu, we already saw him work the mechanics earlier. He's got some boost to play with. He is literally leaving for his teammate, though. We're starting to see some teamwork out of this Wake Leadership squad, and this is something that you see from usually players that are either extremely good at the game or have been playing together for a decent while with a setup like that.
And That's kind of the beautiful part about these high school leagues. We don't know all of the background information for a lot of these teams. So coming in and kind of seeing the team chemistry that we're seeing right now from Wake Leadership Academy, Leesville, every time they get close to this net, Yalom has had some great times. Jetsons set up in the crease more often than not. Yet at the same time, it's Wake Leadership who's getting all the offensive opportunities, and the passing plays seem to just be going their way. Leesville still has yet to break open this defense once they get towards this crease area. Hold on, look at that. Bounce off the post, and it's bouncing right in front of the net. That's a dangerous situation to be on the defense in. You don't want to let that ball chill in front of your net for too long. It only takes one player to turn the tides, but a wide open net could be the tide turner here. Wake Leadership, is this your opportunity for the fourth? Not going to happen.
Yeah, they are all over them. And if you're Leesville, at least the one good thing you can take away is that Wake has made a couple small mistakes on defense. They gave you a couple small windows to try to possibly look for that angle. And speaking of that, they're just going to leave one off there. Looks like missed, potentially looking to run away with that one. Yalom going to get popped up, will get contested, possibly by his own teammate. That is going to be Wake Leadership, though, with the interception. Flapjack works it toward that far side post. Now it's going to be Fatu. Nice little tap off the backboard. Could potentially find Squid, and that is an excellent setup and an even better goal. That was picture perfect right off the top of the backboard and directly onto the bumper of Squid.
Beautiful play. And of course, as we mentioned before, it's a team play that secures those goals. Of course, we did see Fatu with a very easy solo carry early on, right off of that kickoff, right at that 4 minutes, 50 seconds mark very early on into the game. But more often than not, I was going to say it requires a team, but Fatu is kind of just proving that sometimes the solo mechanics are all you need. Look at the resets. Oh my Lord. That replay, I didn't even notice that that was as nasty of a goal as it was when he scored it until the replay.
Yeah, that was one of those takes several viewings to unfold every part of the picture there. And now 5-0. I thought Leesville actually, I don't want to say stabilized the game, but they gave up those first two goals basically immediately. Then there was a minute and a half, 2 minutes where it was actually a pretty 50-50 game. They had a couple of chances to score. They played decent defense, and then unfortunately a couple bounces didn't go their way. They got outplayed with the hands 1 or 2 times. And now all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel of 5-0. Only a minute and a half left to play. You're struggling to get offensive chances. They've had a little bit of zone tie, but now they are just getting dominated. Looking for the double tap. Fatu ends up going the wrong direction. He's gonna have to drop that one off for Flapjack, or rather for Squid. Fatu off the right side, looking to get the mechs going once more. It is going to be denied, but it actually might end up getting put on the bumper of Flapjack. So a nice bounce from Wake, and once again Fatu with the mechanics to set up the goal. What a flip. That was strange.
Close to a hat trick for Fatu, but it's actually Flapjack who picks up the goal right there. And I mean, with a minute 10 left in this game, Joe, but I think it's safe to say that Wake Leadership has more than locked in this game. Really just too little time and much too tall of a task for Leesville right now. And I say this to every team, though, don't let this last minute kind of go unused, though. Use it to kind of figure out maybe the offense of Wake Leadership, figure out what you can change on the defense. I think we're not seeing a lot of urgency in the clears from Leesville, and it means a lot of time sitting in front of the net for Fatu and Flapjack. Leesville sets up towards the middle, doing a good job in this last minute or so to stop the offensive pressure from Wake, but now it's a wide open net. You see 2 players have to fly back to that net because they committed a little bit too hard to the offense.
Yeah, and when you're down 6-0 and you're forced to double commit on the goal line, things are probably not going your way, and we are going to see Fatu. I think we could say safely, at least game 1, this guy has the best mechanics in the server, and he's got the grit game going too. The bump on the goal line after basically setting it up. Look at, he gets the last 4 touches all by himself and 1 mixtape and clears out the defender. That is 7-0. And if you're a Leesville, like you said, you're just hoping to get 1 on the board before game 2. Then you can at least say, listen, these guys aren't invincible. We were able to beat the defense at least once. It still might be a Brazil scoreline, but it'll at least get you something.
Yeah, at the very least, right, you can take some kind of momentum, some kind of confidence into that next game. But even with this 0 second hitting in just a sec, is it going to be a goal to finish it off right off the post? Wake Leadership still trying to just cement their lead as much as possible. And I mean, the scoreboard looking as you would kind of expect.
That's a
7-0 game to go. Yeah.
For more reasons than one.
And we do see Yalom from the side of Leesville. He's he's trying to put in the work, right? And out of everyone on that team, Yalom was the player to not only make a lot of those saves, but also be the one clearing out into that crease, trying to set up for his teammates, trying to do something, get something set up on the offense. But it was a little too tough. And I think we saw one too many 3-man commits, maybe, 4 or 5 too many there from Leesville.
But I was counting them on my fingers here.
That's something you take. That's something you take from game 1. You move into game 2. You say, okay, that's a mistake we made. We got to fix it. And if you can fix that early on in the game, maybe stop some of those 2-3 goals in the first minute and a half, you can feel a lot better moving in towards that second half of the game there. But I think game 2 is pretty well ready to be launched up here. We're going to have to see if Leesville can make those adaptations.
Yeah, let's throw it over to the pitch and see if Leesville, I think the key to this game for them is don't get off to that sluggish start. Yes, 2-goal deficit a minute into the game. Worse things can happen. There's worse spots you could be in, but the way we just watch Wake play, the mechanics, the teamwork, they are playing like a well-oiled machine, quite literally. They're playing like some of the collegiate teams we've seen, some of the higher level teams. They've got that level of that skill, that talent, and that chemistry would appear. So right now, Leesville, not that you have to play a perfect game to win, but you've got to minimize the mistakes. Try to take advantage of Wake playing a super aggressive time. Go for 1 or 2 really, really solid counterattacks where you can clear out a defender. Maybe start going for the demos too. Make the game a little bit dirtier, and possibly you can create a mismatch that way and see if you can find that first goal.
And we're 35 seconds off the kickoff here, and Wake County hasn't even had a shot attempt for themselves just yet. It's actually been Leesville to be the one putting on a lot of the pressure early on in this game, and that's a beautiful start to see, especially in comparison to game 1. Yeah, demo on the defender, but Yalom's back in time. We've seen 2 demos now, but no shots in kind of retaliation or in follow-up to any of those 2 players whipping on that ball, but actually 2 offenders. Squid could have a great setup here if he's able to find a tap, but he just goes wide.
Yeah, right now Leesville is getting heavily starved out of this boost, and Fatu trying to take to the skies once more. Does actually get shut down. A nice little angle by Jetsons there, so he is going to put that one into the far corner. That should let Leesville theoretically recoup some of that backside boost, because they were getting all of it taken away by Wake when they were cycling. And while they may not have gotten any shots, if you let a team play ball control for that long, something bad is going to happen. It happens in every single game, in solo queue and competitive and pro play at every single level. So you got to make sure you limit the chances, limit the shots, because eventually when you try to have people scattering all over the crease, people are trying to go for double touches, back passes. It is very, very tough to try to defend every aspect of offense there, but Leesville, that is how you get it back, and missed. Didn't really have that great of a performance. Wasn't even able to find the touches on the ball they were looking for, but that is the best touch of the game so far, and that is a 1-0 lead. We've already gone through 2 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't even realize we had been through this much of the game already, mostly because last game we were seeing goals every 30 seconds or less from Wake leadership. Meanwhile, it's Leesville to actually open the floodgates in this one, put that one on the scoreboard, and bring themselves to a lead, which is something I wouldn't have thought we would see this early on, especially given the state of game 1 there, but weaving through the defenders, Fatu, oh my lord, star player of Wake leadership for sure right now. Great play from both his teammates as well to kind of draw the defenders away a little bit and leave an opening for himself, but the way that Fatu is able to just kind of see that gap, it's almost like they see the line like a F1 driver or something. They just follow it perfectly, find that shot into the net, and tied up the game.
That was borderline a check Leesville PayPal moment. 3 defenders and not 1 person could find a touch. Very unfortunate situation. Definitely something they're going to look back on and be like, listen, if one of us just communicates a little bit better, maybe one of us tries to go for the boost, try to get the rotation, the counterattack early, stuff like that isn't going to happen. But it happens all the time. It's unfortunate when it does, and really good teams will capitalize on it. They will find these windows to punish, and obviously we have seen Wake leadership. They found a bunch of different ways to score, getting help from the other team, finding the passing plays or the solo efforts, and right now they are swarming once again. But a great job of Leesville right now. The defense has definitely settled in a lot more. They're a lot more paced, a lot more composed, a lot more measured, and only that one mistake cost them the goal. But other than that, they've played a relatively clean game.
Yeah, and you know, you call it a mistake, but also it was just a great kind of instant
Tough
analysis
angle
of the opportunity from Fatu as well. He saw the opening and took it, and there's only a half a second window to kind of make that shot, and he was instantly on that opportunity. But now here in front of the net, you talked about it, you let them kind of dilly-dally around your net for too long. The attackers are going to find something, and Fatu, the second in the game from him. Beautiful solo play. I think Flapjack did find a touch there, but mainly just Fatu from the corner, rolling along that goal line, and the net, or the post at least, being your best friend there.
Yeah, I'm expecting Fatu to be playing in whatever iteration of the Ghost of CRL comes up whenever he ends up getting out of high school and getting an offer somewhere, because he has been extremely impressive so far throughout this series, getting it done on defense, getting it done on offense. We saw him being the demolition man to help his teammates out during game one. He obviously has a bunch of skill with the aerials, and he is looking for a double touch off the backboard, and he is going to find it. He is going to drop that one right in the top of that Leesville net, and this 1-0 lead has been absolutely dismantled. And I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. Picture perfect solo Rocket League.
Yeah, beautiful carry. Couple resets in there as well, and you use the backboard as that second player in the play.
Cheeky.
That was... Sometimes you get those slow ones off the kickoff, and they just find their way to the net, though. If a player on the defense isn't ready for that one, it can blindside you sometime. Look at Squid dribbling around the court here, around the field, the pitch, the rink. All of the above.
The Thunderdome. Or whatever. This is like...
I know they all maps
the Thunderdome. Probably. All the maps, it's like Wasteland. Yeah, like...
This is
underwater,
Champions Field or Mansfield, or I think this is Champions Field.
Champion. I think that's the trophy statue. Yeah, it looks like a World Cup setting, so I feel like this is definitely Champions Field. Right now, leadership, they are champions of the series. They didn't really play a great 2.5 minutes of Rocket League, but that you don't need to play a good full 5 minutes to win every game. And right now it's been ball control, and we saw Leesville having every single offensive chance early in the game, and it just feels like it's fizzled out completely. Wake leadership figured out the pacing they like. They figured out how they kind of want to address this movement and address the counterattack. And right now it's just Fatu just chunking that one long because no one's there until the very last second. Granted, this game more than likely over, as his Flapjack beating 2 defenders could actually look for the goal, and that is all a Dolo effort. That is a hell of a goal from him, and that is a stamp on this game, and I'm happy we get to see this one back twice. Beats all 3 defenders by himself.
And I think it's essentially 4 solo goals for Wake leadership, 3 of them being from Fatu.
Pretty much.
The first one there, the game read it as an assist from Flapjack. I think he was just the last teammate to hit it, but it felt like Fatu in his first goal had carried that for so long. It almost felt like a solo goal there, set up towards the middle. The ball is yet to touch the ground, and it will. Wake leadership once again over Leesville. This time, though, very different start to the game, very different scoreboard. Of course, Fatu up there in the goals, shot department as well, but you see Flapjack and Squid slowed down a lot that game. Yalom and the rest of the squad, I mean, Miss found a goal there, right? We didn't even see, I think Miss had like 20 score total in game one there.
8.
So yeah, just a giant turnaround. Even though they lost the game, it looked completely different. But now you're in reverse sweep territory. Now you have to take everything you learned as Leesville from game 1 and game 2. You have to put it all on the line right now, and you got to win 3 straight up against this monster that is Wake leadership right now.
I think it's hard when you have a player that is, to be honest, is very clearly the best player in the server. Rocket League is a game where if they're able to outpace the other team, it feels like it's impossible to ever get the ball away from them. It's really hard to try to contest them. They're always just one step ahead of you, a little bit faster. So when you have someone that can take up so much, almost like a Steph Curry, right? This guy just has a gravity around him where he pulls all these defenders different directions, and then he can leave it to 2 other teammates that are very handy. He had 3 demos in that game, which was the most by far out of anyone in the server. So they got to find a way to contain him if they can find anything. I'm not necessarily sure. They're probably going to have, 1, potentially 2, 3 more games, but the way Wake has played, I'd be very surprised if they didn't close it out here.
Yeah, Wake basically set up to close out the series with just kind of the scores and the records and what we've seen of those previous games. But the players seem to be in the server, seem to be ready. So I think we're ready to send it over to game 3. We'll get on the pitch. This is Wake leadership. The match series point for them right now. All you need is 1 more game, and Leesville backs against the wall. All you're looking for right now as Leesville is to start off this game exactly as you did the last one, maybe find that first goal, but if not, just play rock solid defense for the first little bit. Make sure Wake leadership does not get off to too early of a lead, but man, the inevitable comes through. It's Fatu straight from the center, and look, no defenders in sight. Miss tries his best.
Can't
find the angle on that flip.
This guy just walked it down and hit a musty on 2 of them. Fatu is in his bag.
What you gonna do?
Up in this series, 15 seconds into the game, they get the early lead. And I was gonna say, if I'm Leesville, I would have loved nothing more than to win this game 1-0 because I do not want to get in a shootout with Wake. I think they've got way too much firepower, as we have evidently seen. And then, unfortunate, call it luck, skill, timing, practice, precision, whatever you want to give it. That is a second goal in basically as many seconds for Fatu. 28 seconds in and 2 goals.
That was all off of a pinch between Flapjack and Fatu. They double committed for that ball, and somehow it sent it straight to the backboard. That, I mean, you can't even make up that situation right there. But it happened. They cut the angle, and of course, Fatu, the one with the mechanics, the boosts, the flips, to be able to follow up on that ball and make sure it's converted into a goal. Wake leadership doing exactly what Leesville needed to shut down early on in this game, and really using game 1 and game 2 to open up this defense, just find all the cracks. The demo right before the shot as well. I don't even think the demo was needed, but it's there for security.
Honestly, it might have actually been needed. That ball didn't look like it was really going that fast off the bottom of the reset. So potentially a great demo, but obviously Fatu, quite literally nobody in the air to contest him. So he was just flicking his analog sticks, picking out which move he wanted to go with. But we are going to have to see Leesville try to find a goal probably in the next minute or so if they really want a chance at this game. They played a flawless first 2.5 minutes of game 2, got a 1-0 lead, and then nothing really went right for them after. So they've got to find a way to slow down Fatu. Already has 3, knocking on the door with 4, maybe looking to get the teammates involved in this ball. Very dangerous position. Jetsons didn't want to have to try to put that one in his own net, but it is going to be taken away. Now Leesville with an open net possibly, but yeah, on the offense and defensive end, he is getting it done, and that is going to be a clear, and Leesville pressure gone.
Sure, gone, but not forgotten. It's converted into pressure for Wake leadership immediately. Slimy sends it far. It's actually, I thought it was going to be Flapjack to tap it there, but it's Slimy. Second touch on that ball. Nobody else had touched it, and straight out from the corner, he's able to find that. And Wake leadership, there's the one setup that they go for every time, and it's Fatu who typically sets it up and also who typically follows up. He brings it from the corner, sends it right across the goal line, and look, he's doing it again. The horizontal play, and then you use that kind of XY, just intersect there and get that player from the center to nail it into the net. So hard for the defenders to really follow up on because you don't know who the second player is going to be in that play, and you may not even have the boost to stop it.
Oh, they just stopped that offensive push completely. Fatu and one of his teammates looked like Flapjack, shutting down the 2-man game in the corner. Now you find space for the clear. Leesville getting a bit tied up on each other there. This could potentially be dangerous, and it seems to be getting more dangerous with each passing moment, but eventually it is going to be Yalom getting a nice little touch on it. That is not a nice touch, though. That is going to be set up, and yeah, who else had to? Maybe trying to fake out Yalom, trying to think like, hey, I'm going to go to the air with this one, try to sneak it underneath. We have seen that work time and time again, and that is just a great shot off the wall. Squid, second one on the game, all 2s left on the clock, and 5-0. You've just got to imagine that Wake leadership. It's not going to be, are they going to win? It's how many are they going to score?
Yeah, that's kind of how it's feeling right now, and it's almost tough to see because of how well game 2 was played out for like 3 minutes from Leesville before Fatu kind of went off and had his solo plays there in game 2. But now here in game 3, it's looking like an exact repeat of the starting of this series. Leesville sitting in their net, kind of allowing Wake leadership to have that ball control over the entire field. And every time it seems like Leesville Road has something in their hands, there's a clear to come through, and it's someone like Slimy Squid to just take that shot. And there's only one player in the net. He's too deep in the net to really stop anything here. There's just so many players that Leesville has to keep track of, it feels like, because they have to put, almost feels like they have to put 2 players on Fatu to shut down any kind of solo play. And then you're down on defenders on the rest of the team there, both Slimy and Flapjack. But Slimy really been the one to make their mark in this game, I think, out of these three for sure.
Yeah, I referenced Fatu as Steph Curry. This guy might be trying to go for his LeBron angle, trying to get the triple-double. This guy is starting to feed his teammates. Like you said, he's like, listen, guys, I'm going to score 3 or 4 times. I am going to force a double team. I am going to ensure that they have to try to stop me. This will completely open up the pitch for you two. I will drop it off. I'll go get the demos, and then you guys can start racking up the goals. Try to get each one of the guys a hat trick as well. So 6-0 domination so far in this. What I will say is the final game of the series, and possibly some bar down action. A little bit too much on that one though. Leesville just trying to see if they can get one in the bank, try to get out on this high note right now. But Wake, they've been playing so well. I am sure they're going to try to find more goals. Fatu is going to go to the sidewall. 60 boosts to play with. Definitely has enough to make it to the net, but looking for a reset or a teammate. Nice contest though out of Yalom. And right now, Leesville, I do like they're still trying to play defense. They're at least trying to get something going on offense, but you can just tell they're just a little bit outclassed right now.
And hey, you never know. In something like a tiebreaker situation for seeding going into playoffs, this goal differential or game differential of a 3-0 with, you know, a 6-0 and a 7-0 game in there, that could be the thing to push Wake leadership to say possibly seed 1, seed 2. I don't know all of the records of everyone else in this division right now, but from what I'm seeing, Wake leadership probably one of those teams that's going to be in the higher seeding moving into playoffs. And I believe depending on the division, some of these divisions do have buys there in round 1. So some of these teams are going to be starting a little bit farther into playoffs as well.
Yeah, they're doing handoffs in midair. This team is definitely a 1 seed or is going to be one of the top seeds because this is genuinely very, very impressive, especially at the high school level. And yeah, why not the exclamation point? You add a 7th, 7 shots, 4 goals, 2 assists for the man of the hour. Fatu beats the defender off the backboard, just absolutely perfect. You can tell that's that's thousands of hours in training running those practice simulations. That is a 7-0 game 3. Kickoff will signal the end of the game, essentially. Will not be any goals for Leesville in that game 3. So got even better than the game 1. It was what, 7-1, and then I think 5-1 or something, and then 7-0. So they lit up the scoreboard. And yeah, I mean, once again, scoreboard, Leesville did not record a shot on net.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think this is probably the most dominant scoreboard, the most dominant game that we saw in the series from Wake leadership. In game 1, there was definitely something, right? There were shots coming through from Yalom over there on Leesville Road. But as we moved later on into the series, and especially in that game 3, it just felt like Wake leadership said, we are taking this 3-0. We're taking it as a shutout. We're taking this win going into playoffs in week 4, and there's really nothing you can do about it. Just completely shutting them down left and right. I mean, we just watched it. It was a dominant game and overall a very dominant series.
Yeah, when you start to play out a longer series too, the better team is maybe not always going to win, but 90% of the time, the better team is going to win a series the longer that it goes. They're going to make adjustments. They're going to have a little more skill to, Fatu, he can just take over the first half of a game and then just take his foot off the gas offensively, start to be the assist man, start to be the demo man. So they were able to just make a couple more adjustments. And then when you blister them in game 1 like that, you send a message like, listen, we can and will score on you at will. So you've got to be ready on defense. It's really hard to find those windows to punish. So I am fully expecting Wake to be probably one of the top seeds. If that gameplay is not a 1 or a 2 seed, I am scared to see what kind of Rocket League talent there is in this league.
Yeah, that's actually a big point there is if they don't come through as a high seed in here, then the question is like, what is the talent looking like in this division? And I believe all of this is, or at least all the divisions are within North Carolina. So possibly Wake could just be a very, very strong region that we're looking at here. But I mean, that's going to really just play out next week in playoffs, as we mentioned prior to the series in the pre-show there. The actual playoff brackets themselves will be generated once all of the divisions have finished up their matches for this week, and everything can be calculated and everyone can be kind of compared. And then you're going to get those, I believe there's 8 teams in this division, so you'll get those 1 to 8 seeds for this playoff bracket.
Yeah, then 1-8, and obviously, like every other sport, you'll play out 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 5-4. You go all the way. I'm guessing it's just going to be a single elimination bracket for Rocket League. I think it's going to be best of fives all the way through. Best of five, nice compact number to get through. But that is going to be all for tonight. Just that one series, as Josh said. Stay locked to all the VESL socials and everything in between. Playoffs are going to be next week. We saw a lot of talent on the pitch today, so I'm sure as these playoffs ramp up next week, we are going to start to see some insane, crazy games across all titles. It's going to be Smash on Thursdays, Valorant on Wednesdays, and then Rocket League on next Friday. So everyone, make sure you stay locked to all the socials for VESL, and we will see you guys next week for playoffs.